See, that's the image many people have when we talk about global hunger. But hunger isn't just in refugee camps. Hunger is a global epidemic affecting communities in sub-Saharan Africa, in Asia, and even in the developed world. It's estimated that there are over 800 million hungry people in the world, and 18 million of those people live in cities in North America, Europe, and Australia. See, when most people talk about global hunger, they think that the problem is that there isn't enough food in the world. But the problem isn't the lack of food, because the absurd thing is that there actually is enough food in the world to feed the entire population. See, the problem isn't the lack of food. Hunger is a logistics problem. It is a problem of getting the available food to the people that need it most. It is a problem that affects all aspects of the supply chain. It includes the elements such as storage, transportation, packaging, international shipping, customs, things such as the road networks and tracking and visibility capabilities. It's estimated that about a third of the food produced in the world is wasted. Some of it rots in warehouses awaiting transportation to the market, while some of it rots at ports and border crossings awaiting customs clearance. And then some of it just rots in the field because the farmers do not think it's economically worth it for them to harvest it. In India, for example, 30% of the fruits and vegetables that are harvested rot before they get to the people that need them most because they lack proper cold storage facilities. And every year, farmers in sub-Saharan Africa lose 30 to 40% of their crops after harvesting to insects, rodents, rain, and mold. In Africa, it's estimated that the food that goes to waste could feed up to 49 million people, which I think is a shame. But you see, to me, this is not just about statistics. I was born and raised in Kenya, a country where agriculture is the backbone of a very diverse and bustling economy. But people still go hungry there, and food rots in the farms because farmers just don't have access to a proper supply chain to get their surpluses to the market.
This is not a negotiable thing, hunger. People have to eat. There's going to be a lot of people. This is jobs and opportunity all the way up and down the value chain. We know how to fix hunger. 100 years ago, we didn't. We actually have the technologies and systems. And I was just struck that this is out of place at our time in history. These images are out of place. Well, guess what? In fact, what we know now is that every 10 seconds, we lose a child to hunger. This is more than HIV/AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. And we know that the issue is not just production of food. And one of my mentors in life is Norman Borlaug, my hero. But today I'm going to talk about access to food because actually, this year and last year, and during the 2008 food crisis, there was enough food on Earth for everyone to have 2,700 kilocalories. So why is it that we have 1 billion people who can't find food? Perhaps most exciting to me is an idea that Bill Gates, Howard Buffett, and others have supported boldly, which is to ask the question, what if, instead of looking at the hungry as victims, and most of them are small farmers who cannot raise enough food or sell food to even support their own families, what if we view them as the solution, as the value chain to fight hunger? What if, from the women in Africa who cannot sell any food, there's no roads, there's no warehouses, there's not even a tarp to pick the food up with, what if we give the enabling environment for them to provide the food to feed the hungry children?
To get agricultural productivity up, you want many factors working in your favor. You want better seeds, you want farmers to adopt the best seeds. The farmers have got to be a lot more educated because they can often grow 2 crops in a season, and the way they deal with soil health by rotating the crops can make a big difference. They also need a credit system because if they don't have the money to get fertilizer, that alone will cut their productivity very substantially. And so that farmer education system, the R&D to make those better seeds, By managing those things well, we predict that we'll get African productivity up to 1.5 times where it is today, and that will get Africa to the point where even with its population growth, somewhat worse weather, instead of importing food, it will be able to feed itself. Improvements in critical infrastructure will further Africa's ability to feed itself. Investments in road improvements will allow food to move to places it needs to go and reduce the need for expensive air transport. Additional surpluses will be put away in improved storage to better position them for lean years.
Now, to round this off, it all boils down to the ethical challenge of feeding humanity and providing healthy and happy lives for 9 billion people in 36 years. Now, science shows that this can be done. In fact, we can produce food enough for 9 billion people. The challenge is how to do it. We know that we've come to the end of expansion of agriculture. We know we've come to a point where we really need to invest in sustainable practices on current cropland, and we need to shift diets and lifestyles and particularly address the enormous equity challenge in the world. Just look at a map of phosphorus use and nitrogen use, you'll see immediately that a few rich overuse and the vast majority are poor underutilized. But the big challenge, of course, is this, and this is the EAT agenda. How can we do this? How can we transform food systems that improve human health, are resilient and fair, and safeguards Earth sustainability?